Imagine waking up tomorrow morning with a leg that is swollen, hot to the touch, and throbbing with a deep, relentless pain. This is not a simple muscle cramp. It is a blood clot, and if a piece of it breaks free and moves to your lungs, it could end your life in a matter of minutes. This terror is called deep vein thrombosis, and it is a silent epidemic among people over 60. But what if the cause is not just bad luck or sitting too long? What if it is a critical, long-term lack of three specific nutrients that your aging body is desperate for? Today, we reveal the three vitamin guardians that science proves can protect your veins. Listen closely. The second vitamin we will discuss is a lifesaver, but it has a deadly interaction with a common medication many of you take. Skipping that part could be catastrophic. Watch until the very end to ensure you are safe. Let us begin by understanding why this is happening to us now. Why does turning 60 suddenly make our blood so much more dangerous? To understand this, we need to look at the human body not as a static machine, but as a dynamic landscape that changes over time. Think of your circulatory system when you were 20 years old. Your veins and arteries were like a brand new, wide-open highway system. The road was smooth asphalt. The traffic, which is your billions of blood cells, moved fast and freely. There were no potholes, no construction zones, and no traffic jams. Your heart pumped easily, and your muscles were strong engines keeping everything moving. Now think of that same highway system after 60 years of constant use. The road is no longer smooth. It has cracks. It has bumps. Years of subtle damage from things like slightly high blood pressure, blood sugar spikes, or even stress have damaged the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels, called the endothelium. These rough spots are like construction zones where traffic has to slow down to navigate around them. And just like on a real highway, when traffic slows down abruptly, cars get too close together. In your veins, when blood slows down over these rough patches, the cells tend to clump together. This clumping is the very beginning of a clot. But a bumpy road is not the only problem. As we age, our bodies enter a state that scientists have started calling inflammaging. This means your immune system is constantly a little bit irritated. Imagine that the highway is not just bumpy, but it is also on fire. This low-grade inflammation makes your platelets, the tiny cells responsible for clotting, extra sticky. They are on high alert, like nervous soldiers with their fingers on the trigger, ready to clot at the slightest provocation to protect you, even when there is no actual cut or injury. And finally, there is the critical issue of flow. When we are young, we are constantly moving. Our strong leg muscles act like powerful second hearts. Every time you take a step, your calf muscles squeeze the deep veins, pushing the blood back up towards your heart against gravity. After 60, our lives often slow down. We retire. We sit more. Our muscle mass naturally decreases. Those muscle pumps get weaker. The blood starts to pool in our lower legs, stagnating like water in a swamp instead of flowing like a clear river. Stagnant blood is clotting blood. So, you have a perfect storm brewing inside your legs. A rough, damaged road, sticky, inflamed traffic, and a weak engine that cannot push the traffic along. This is why the risk of developing a dangerous blood clot does not just creep up, it skyrockets as we get older. This silent, hidden inflammation inside your veins is not unlike the hidden damage caused by consuming the wrong foods over decades. Remember how I warned you about the subtle, dangerous inflammation caused by combining turmeric incorrectly in my video Never Eat Turmeric with These Three Foods? It is the exact same principle. What you put inside your body changes the chemical environment of your blood. If you have not seen that video, I highly recommend you watch it after this one to understand how your diet plays a massive role in this process. So, how do we fight back against this triple threat? We cannot turn back the clock. We cannot make our veins 20 years old again. but we can change the environment inside them. We can cool down the inflammation. We can make the road smoother, and we can make the blood cells less sticky. This is where nutrition becomes your most powerful medicine. This is where the 3 hero vitamins come in. These nutrients are not magic bullets that work overnight. They are essential foundational tools that your body's own repair systems are starving for. Without them, your body is fighting a losing battle against clotting. Let us meet the first guardian. This is the most common nutritional deficiency in the world for older adults, and its link to blood clot risk is undeniable and profound. First, vitamin D, the sunshine shield. For decades, doctors and health officials have hammered one message into our heads. Vitamin D is for strong bones, and that is absolutely true. It helps your gut absorb calcium, keeping your skeleton strong. But in the last 20 years, cutting-edge science has revealed that we had it all wrong. Vitamin D is not just a vitamin. It is actually a powerful steroid hormone that regulates the expression of hundreds of genes in your body, affecting everything from your mood to your immune system, and critically, the health of your blood vessels. Think of vitamin D as the ultimate peacemaker in your bloodstream. When your body is in that state of chronic inflammation we talked about, your immune system is overreacting. It is misfiring. It is releasing too many inflammatory signals, called cytokines, into your blood. This puts your entire clotting system on a hair trigger alert. Vitamin D steps in and calms everything down. It binds to receptors on your immune cells and tells them to lower their weapons. It suppresses the production of those sticky, inflammatory signals. It acts like a cool, soothing balm on the irritated lining of your blood vessels, allowing them to relax and widen, which improves blood flow. When your vitamin D levels are optimal, the fire of inflammation goes down, and your blood flows more smoothly, like a calm, wide river, instead of a turbulent, dangerous rapid. The scientific evidence backing this up is overwhelming and growing every year. A groundbreaking study published in the prestigious Brazilian Journal of Medical and Biological Research in 2021 looked directly at this connection in a real-world setting. The researchers took a group of perfectly healthy people and compared them to a group of patients who had just been admitted to the hospital with a confirmed deep vein thrombosis in their legs. They measured the vitamin D levels in both groups. What they found was shocking but not surprising to functional medicine doctors. The patients who had developed the blood clots had significantly, drastically lower levels of vitamin D in their blood compared to the healthy group. The study concluded that vitamin D deficiency is a clear, independent, and potent risk factor for developing DVT. Other large-scale population studies have echoed this finding, showing that people with the lowest vitamin D levels have a 30 to 50% higher risk of developing venous thromboembolism over their lifetimes compared to those with optimal levels. That is a massive difference in risk based on a single, easily correctable nutrient deficiency. So, this begs the question, why are so many of us over 60 walking around severely deficient? It is a cruel irony of human aging. The primary way nature intended for us to get vitamin D was never through food. It was through our skin, synthesizing it when exposed to direct, strong sunlight. But as we get older, the machinery in our skin that performs this magic becomes worn out and much less efficient. A 70-year-old person produces about 50 to 75% less vitamin D from the exact same amount of sun exposure as a 20-year-old. Add to that the modern reality that many seniors spend far more time indoors, or when they do go out, they are told by dermatologists to cover up and use high SPF sunscreen to prevent skin cancer, which blocks vitamin D production almost entirely. You have a recipe for a global deficiency epidemic among the elderly. And what about food? Can you just eat your way out of this deficiency? Sadly, getting enough vitamin D from therapeutic food sources alone is almost impossible in the modern diet. You find it in significant amounts only in fatty cold water fish like wild-caught salmon, mackerel, and sardines. You find very small amounts in egg yolks and fortified milk or orange juice. But unless you are eating a large portion of fatty fish every single day of your life, you are simply not going to reach the blood levels required for optimal vascular protection. This is why, for the vast majority of people over 60 living in modern society, supplementation is not just a good idea. It is practically mandatory for long-term health. But here is where people get it wrong. You cannot just guess and take a random pill. You need to know your personal numbers. The first step before you buy anything is to ask your doctor for a simple blood test called a 25-hydroxy vitamin D test. This will tell you exactly where you stand right now. Be warned, many doctors still use outdated lab standards and will tell you that a level of 30 nanograms per milliliter is sufficient. But leading researchers and functional medicine experts now suggest that for optimal protection against inflammation, heart disease, and clotting risks, you want your levels to be much higher, ideally between 50 and 70 nanograms per milliliter. If your test shows you are deficient, your doctor will likely recommend a vitamin D3 supplement. Always choose D3, cholecalciferol, which is the natural form your body makes, over the synthetic D2 form, as it is much more effective at raising blood levels. It is also crucially important to take your vitamin D supplement with a meal that contains some healthy fat, like avocado, nuts, or olive oil, because vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin and needs fat to be absorbed properly by your digestive system. Correcting a long-standing vitamin D deficiency is one of the single most impactful things you can do for your overall health and longevity. You will not just be significantly lowering your clot risk, you will likely also feel a noticeable boost in your mood and energy. Your immune system will be stronger at fighting off seasonal colds and flu, and your bones will be better protected against fractures. It is a simple, inexpensive, safe intervention with profound, life-changing benefits. Now, remember earlier I told you that the blood vessel changes in aging are like a road getting bumpy, damaged, and calcified? Well, the next vitamin we are going to discuss is the master repairman for that road infrastructure. It works hand in hand with vitamin D in a beautiful biological partnership, and together they form an unbeatable team for your circulatory health. But this second vitamin is also the most dangerous one if misunderstood. It is powerful, but if you take it the wrong way, while on certain common medications for seniors, the results could be catastrophic and irreversible. We are going to dive deep into the science, the benefits, and the critical warnings of this powerful nutrient right after this break. Do not go anywhere, because the information coming up next could literally save your life. Now we must turn our attention to the second guardian. This vitamin is the master architect of your vascular health, essential for keeping your arteries flexible and clear. But I must warn you again, this section contains a critical life or death alert for anyone on blood-thinning medication. Please pay close attention. Second, vitamin K2, the traffic controller. I need you to listen very carefully here because there is more confusion about vitamin K than almost any other nutrient. When most people, and even many doctors, hear vitamin K, their minds immediately go to leafy green vegetables like spinach, kale, and broccoli. That is indeed vitamin K, but it is specifically vitamin K1. The primary job of K1 is to activate proteins in your liver that are responsible for blood clotting. It is essential, of course. If you cut your finger, you need K1 to stop the bleeding. Without it, you would bleed to death from a minor injury. But K1 is not the hero we are talking about today for preventing deep vein clots. We are talking about its lesser-known but critically important sibling, vitamin K2. For a long time, K2 was the forgotten vitamin lumped in with K1. But in recent decades, cutting-edge research has revealed that it plays a completely different yet vital role in the human body, especially as we age. Its main job is not in the liver. It is in your bones and your blood vessels. To understand the power of K2, we first need to talk about calcium. We all know calcium is good for bones. We are told from childhood to drink our milk for strong teeth and bones, and that is true. Calcium is the mineral brick that builds our skeletal foundation. But here is the dark side of calcium that is rarely discussed. Calcium in the wrong place is a disaster for your health. When calcium gets deposited in the soft tissues of your body, particularly in the walls of your arteries and veins, it is called vascular calcification. Imagine your blood vessels are like flexible garden hoses. When they become calcified, it is like someone poured cement into the walls of those hoses. They become hard, stiff, and brittle. This is the hallmark of atherosclerosis, or hardening of the arteries. These rigid calcified artery walls crack easily. They create rough, uneven surfaces. And as we know, blood flowing over rough surfaces is prone to turbulence and clotting. So, we have a massive biological problem. How does your aging body know to put the calcium you eat into your bones where it belongs and keep it out of your blood vessels where it causes deadly harm? This is the precise and irreplaceable job of vitamin K2. Think of vitamin K2 as the ultimate traffic controller for calcium in your body. It directs calcium traffic to ensure it goes to the right destination. How does it do this? It activates a set of special proteins that are dependent on vitamin K. One of these proteins is called osteocalcin. It is found in your bones. When activated by K2, osteocalcin acts like glue, grabbing calcium from the bloodstream and binding it into the bone matrix, making your skeleton strong and dense. At the exact same time, K2 activates another critical protein found in the walls of your blood vessels, called matrix glay protein, or MGP. This protein acts like a crossing guard or a bouncer. It stands in your blood vessels and stops calcium from parking there. It literally inhibits calcification, keeping your arteries and veins soft, elastic, and smooth. Without enough vitamin K2, this entire traffic control system breaks down tragically. Calcium gets confused. It floats around in the blood with nowhere to go. It fails to get into the bones, leading to osteoporosis. And instead, it starts building up in your arteries, leading to heart disease and clot risk. This is why you so often see older adults suffering from both weak, brittle bones and hardened, calcified arteries at the same time. It is not a coincidence. It is called the calcium paradox, and a chronic lack of vitamin K2 is a major underlying cause. The scientific evidence for this is profound. A major review published by the National Institutes of Health highlighted that adequate vitamin K2 intake is essential for preventing vascular calcification and reducing the risk of cardiovascular events in older adults. The world-renowned Cleveland Clinic also highlights K2's unique and critical role in directing calcium away from the heart and towards the bones. When your blood vessels are soft, flexible, and smooth because K2 is doing its job, blood flows freely even when you are sitting still, and the risk of a clot forming due to turbulence drops significantly. Conversely, when your blood vessels become stiff and brittle due to unchecked calcium deposits, it creates a dangerous environment ripe for clotting. This structural damage is exactly like the silent, cumulative damage caused by the hidden preservatives in processed foods that I warned you about in my video, Never Touch These Canned Foods. Protecting the structural integrity of your vessel walls is a paramount task for longevity that you cannot ignore. So, where do you get this amazing nutrient? This is where the modern diet fails us completely. Unlike K1, you will not find significant amounts of K2 in vegetables. K2 is synthesized by bacteria. It is found mostly in specific fermented foods and certain animal products from animals that ate grass. The absolute best source on the planet, bar none, is a traditional Japanese breakfast food called natto. Natto is fermented soybeans. It has a very strong smell, a distinct flavor, and a sticky, slimy texture that is an acquired taste for many Westerners. However, a single small serving provides a massive therapeutic dose of K2 that you cannot get anywhere else. In regions of Japan where natto consumption is high, rates of bone fractures and heart disease are significantly lower. If you cannot stomach natto, there are other sources, though they contain much less. Certain aged cheeses, like Gouda, Brie, and Edam, contain K2 because the bacteria used in the fermentation process produce it. You can also find it in the egg yolks of chickens that were raised on pasture, eating grass and bugs. Butter and ghee from grass-fed cows are also good sources. However, because these specific foods are not staples in a typical modern Western diet, and because our food supply has changed so much, many older adults are functionally deficient in K2. This is why a high-quality K2 supplement, often taken alongside vitamin D3 for a powerful synergistic effect, is becoming a common recommendation from forward-thinking functional medicine doctors. But now, I must deliver the life or death warning I promised you. And this is critical. Please listen. If you are currently taking a prescription blood thinner that works by blocking vitamin K, such as warfarin, Coumadin, or Jantoven, you must never, ever start taking a vitamin K2 supplement or significantly change your intake of vitamin K foods on your own. These specific medications work by deliberately creating a functional vitamin K deficiency in your body to prevent your blood from clotting too easily. It is a delicate, medically managed balance. If you suddenly introduce a vitamin K2 supplement, you could completely counteract the medication, making your blood too thick again and drastically increasing your risk of a life-threatening clot or stroke. On the other hand, if you suddenly stop eating all vitamin K foods while on these drugs, your blood could become dangerously thin, leading to a risk of severe internal bleeding. If you are on these specific vitamin K antagonist blood thinners, your relationship with vitamin K is a delicate balancing act that must be managed exclusively by your doctor, usually involving regular blood tests to monitor your clotting time. Do not play doctor with your own life. Do not make any changes without consulting them first. For everyone else not on these specific medications, vitamin K2 is generally considered very safe, has no known toxicity level, and is a powerful, essential ally for your vascular and skeletal health. Now, let us move to the third and final guardian. This vitamin works in a different way, acting directly on the blood cells themselves to keep them slippery and flowing. Third, vitamin E, the natural anti-stick coating. Vitamin E is often thought of as a beauty vitamin, something you put on your skin to reduce wrinkles or take to help your hair grow. But inside your blood vessels, it acts as a powerful, fat-soluble antioxidant with a very special property related to clotting. We talked earlier about how inflammaging and oxidative stress make your platelets sticky. Platelets are the tiny, disc-shaped blood cells that are responsible for forming clots to stop bleeding. When they are inflamed, they become hypertextured, like little balls of Velcro, ready to clump onto anything and initiate a clot. Vitamin E acts like a natural, mild anti-stick coating for these platelets. It embeds itself into the fatty outer membrane of the platelet cells. The science confirms this mechanism. A study published in the respected journal Circulation Research demonstrated that vitamin E has a distinct, mild antiplatelet effect. It does not thin the blood aggressively like a prescription drug such as aspirin or Plavix, but it gently reduces the tendency of platelets to aggregate or stick together unnecessarily, especially in response to mild triggers. Imagine coating those Velcro balls with a thin layer of fine oil. They are still functional. If you push them together hard enough, they will still stick. But they are much less likely to get stuck together accidentally as they bump into each other in the bloodstream. That is what vitamin E does for your blood. Furthermore, As a potent antioxidant, vitamin E patrols your bloodstream, neutralizing dangerous free radicals. This protects the delicate endothelial lining of your blood vessels from being damaged by oxidative stress. By keeping the vessel walls healthy and smooth, and by keeping the platelets less sticky, vitamin E provides a double layer of protection against clot formation. So, what are the best ways to get this protective nutrient into your body? Unlike vitamin D and K2, which are hard to get from a standard diet, it is relatively easy to get good protective amounts of vitamin E from eating whole, unprocessed foods. In fact, getting it from food is always preferred over high-dose supplements. Nuts and seeds are the absolute superstars here. They are nature's perfect vitamin E delivery packages. Just a small handful of almonds, hazelnuts, or sunflower seeds can provide a significant portion of your daily need. Avocados are another excellent, delicious source, rich in both healthy fats and vitamin E. Dark leafy greens like spinach and Swiss chard also contribute, as does high-quality extra virgin olive oil. Eating a diet rich in these whole foods ensures you get a balanced array of all 8 natural forms of vitamin E, along with other beneficial fiber, healthy fats, and phytonutrients that work together for your health. However, I need to issue a word of caution about vitamin E supplements. While getting vitamin E from food is considered very safe and beneficial, taking high-dose synthetic vitamin E supplements, defined as over 400 international units per day, for long periods has been linked in some large studies to potential health risks, including a slightly higher risk of hemorrhagic stroke, which is bleeding in the brain. More is not always better. Balance is key. For most people, focusing on including vitamin E-rich foods in their daily diet is the safest, most effective, and most delicious strategy. And this brings up an important point about food choices. While nuts and seeds are great sources of vitamin E, you have to choose the right ones. As I warned in my popular video 5 Dangerous Seeds You Should Never Touch, not all seeds are created equal. Some are highly inflammatory and can actually cause harm if eaten incorrectly. Make sure you are choosing the heart-healthy options like almonds and sunflower seeds to get your vitamin E safely. So there you have it, the 3 guardian vitamins. Vitamin D, the inflammation cooler, vitamin K2, the calcium traffic controller, and vitamin E, the platelet smoother. Together, they form a powerful nutritional defense system for your aging veins. But before we end, I must give you one final crucial disclaimer. This is the safety net for everything we have discussed today. Please hear this clearly. These vitamins are tools for long-term prevention. They help build a healthier environment in your body that is less likely to form clots in the first place. They are absolutely not a treatment for an active existing blood clot. If you have any of the symptoms of a deep vein thrombosis right now, such as swelling in one leg that came on suddenly, pain or cramping tenderness in your calf that feels deep and does not go away with rest, skin that is red or discolored, or skin that feels unusually warm to the touch, do not take vitamins. Do not go for a walk to try and shake it off. Do not wait and see until tomorrow. Call emergency services or get to a hospital immediately. A DVT is a medical emergency that requires immediate professional treatment with powerful anticoagulant drugs to prevent a fatal pulmonary embolism. Vitamin D is not going to dissolve a clot that is already there. Time is muscle, and time is lung tissue. Never stop taking prescribed blood thinners or any other heart medication without the express permission and supervision of your doctor. These vitamins are meant to support your overall health, not replace necessary medical treatment. Also, remember that nutrition is just one leg of a 3-legged stool for vein health. The second leg is movement. Your leg muscles are pumps. You have to use them. Walking every single day is the best medicine for your veins. If you are sitting for a long time, like on a plane or watching TV, Make a habit of doing heel raises and ankle circles every hour to keep the blood moving. The third leg is hydration. Dehydration makes your blood thicker and more concentrated, like sludge, which makes it easier for it to clot. Drink plenty of water throughout the day. It is the simplest, cheapest, and most effective blood thinner there is. Health after 60 is not about one magic pill. It is about a lifestyle of small, smart, consistent choices that add up over time to protect you. By ensuring your body has adequate levels of vitamin D, K2, and E through smart sun exposure, diet, and targeted supplementation, by staying active every day and by staying well hydrated, you are taking powerful, proactive steps to protect yourself from one of the greatest hidden dangers of aging. You are stacking the deck in your favor for a longer, healthier, and more independence-filled life. Now, I want to hear from you. We are all on this journey together, and your experience helps others. Based on what you learned today, which of these 3 vitamins do you think you might be most deficient in? Do you get enough sun? Can you stomach the fermented foods for K2? Do you eat enough nuts and seeds for E? Let me know in the comments below. For example, you could write, "I hate fish, so I am probably low on vitamin D." Your sharing helps us all see how common these issues are. And if you found this information valuable, if you think it might save a life, please share this video with your friends and family. Knowledge is power, but only when it is shared. Do not forget to subscribe to the Ageless Vitality channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update that could protect your health. Finally, protecting your legs is vital, but what about the most important organ of all, your brain? A blood clot that travels to the brain causes a stroke, which is the #1 cause of long-term disability in seniors. To protect your brain, you absolutely must watch the video that is on your screen right now. It is called 5 Early Signs of a Stroke that most seniors miss. Knowing these signs could make the difference between full recovery and permanent disability. Click on it now, and I will see you there. I am Dr. Adams. Stay active, stay nourished, and keep living with ageless vitality.